Welcome to the lesson on Introduction to Cells. In this lesson, you will learn about cells that make up all living organisms. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define a cell, recall the role of microscopes in the discovery of the cell, illustrate how cells vary in number, and illustrate how cells vary in shape and size.
Hey, who are you?
I am Cello. I represent a cell, the building block of life. Your brother is doing some research about us.
I don't understand. How do you call yourself the building block of life?
Tell me, what is your house made of?
It's made of bricks, of course.
So you can say that bricks are the building blocks of your house.
Right.
The same way, cells are the building blocks for your body. So, in technical terms, a cell is the structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Every living organism, however big or small, is made up of tiny units called cells. Similar kinds of cells together form tissues. Tissues aggregate to form organs. Organs aggregate to form an organ system. For example, epithelia, muscular, and glandular are some of the tissues that form the stomach, which is an organ. Organs like the stomach and the intestine, in turn, form the digestive system. Many organ systems together form an organism. For example, the bodies of human beings consist of digestive system, excretory system, respiratory system, integumentary system, and lymphatic system.
Wow. From such a tiny unit to such complex organisms?
As Victor tries to grasp the importance of a cell in living beings with Cello, we can try answering a few quiz questions.
If you are the building block of all organisms, how come I've never noticed you around before?
That's because I'm generally so small that I can't be seen with the naked eye. We met today because you managed a peek through your brother's microscope. A microscope magnifies the objects so that you can see even the tiny ones clearly. With the help of a microscope, an English scientist, Robert Hooke, first discovered the existence of cells in 1665.
So before that, no one had been able to examine a cell?
Right. Even Robert Hooke wasn't really able to see samples of living cells. He discovered cells by examining slices of cork from the bark of a tree and observing it under the magnifying lens. He was able to see partitioned boxes. He named these boxes cells, since it resembled the cells in which monks lived. In fact, after Robert Hooke, the research on cells had to wait for a long time, till the invention of improved microscopes.
Can you tell me about the improved microscopes?
Yeah, sure. Improved microscopes include compound microscope, dissection microscope, scanning electron microscope, SEM, and transmission electron microscope, TEM. Compound microscopes are used in laboratories to view a wide range of plant and animal specimens.
So what I have here is a compound microscope?
Yes, dissection microscopes are used in laboratories where the observed specimen needs to be cut and viewed.
What about electron microscopes?
Scanning electron microscopes are used to examine the external parts of various organisms. For example, the surface structure of microorganisms like bacteria can be observed through a scanning electron microscope. The transmission electron microscope is used to view cells in further detail. For example, the internal structure of a cell, like the structure of the cell organelles, can be viewed using this microscope.
Let Victor explore the types of microscopes. In the meantime, we have a small quiz for you.
So how many cells does an organism have?
Well, it depends on the organism that you are referring to. There are some organisms that are made of a single cell, and some that consist of trillions of cells.
Trillions of cells?
That's right. Organisms that are made up of more than one cell are called multicellular organisms. For example, a banyan tree or an animal like a dog has trillions of cells. These organisms require a large number of cells to run their complex systems. On the other hand, organisms with a single cell are known as unicellular organisms. For example, look at the specimen of amoeba and paramecium. The bodies of these organisms are made up of a single cell.
Do organisms with a single cell perform all the activities in the same way as multicellular organisms do?
Sure, they do. The single cell in these organisms is built in such a way that it performs all its vital activities, like reproduction, locomotion, digestion, and so on.
Difficult to believe that this one cell can perform all these activities. Wonder how they do it.
Well, take the amoeba for example. It changes its shape to move and eat its prey. Look at this slide now. See those tiny projections on the amoeba? These are called pseudopodia.
Pseudopodia?
Pseudopodia mean false feet. An amoeba engulfs the prey with its pseudopodia and then digests it. Thus, it uses these small projections for locomotion and to capture prey.
And are these the real colors of the cells?
Well, no. The color that you observe under the microscope is due to the stain that is used while preparing a slide. Stains are used to color parts of a cell so that they can be differentiated from other parts.
Let us leave Victor to explore more about staining of slides using different stains.
This amoeba seems to have no real shape at all. Are all cells shaped like that?
Well, no. Cells are of many different shapes. The shape of a cell depends on the function that it performs. Cells can be spherical, round, elongated, pointed, and even branched. For example, a nerve cell or neuron is branched. The branched structure of a neuron helps it to transfer messages to all parts of the body. The white blood corpuscle, WBC, is the only animal cell that changes its shape.
Why? What do WBCs do?
WBCs are responsible for protecting our bodies against invading bacteria and harmful microorganisms. To do this, they need to travel to different parts of the body attacked by such organisms. In order to squeeze through the blood vessels and intercellular spaces, WBCs change their shape using pseudopodia similar to those in an amoeba. On the other hand, red blood cells RBCs, in our bodies are round cells. The primary function of RBCs is to carry oxygen from the lungs to various tissues of the body. These cells also carry the waste carbon dioxide from various tissues to the lungs so that it can be exhaled through the nostrils. Another example of a different cell shape is found in muscle cells. Muscle cells are spindle-shaped.
That's interesting. What about the shapes of cells in plants?
Plant cells have a definite shape. This shape is determined by the components of the cell. In addition to the component of the cell, plant cells and bacteria have cell walls that provide rigidity. Here is an interesting piece of information, Victor. Scientists studying the shape of cells are of the opinion that learning changes the shape of brain cells. So, as you learn and grow, the shape of your brain cells gradually changes.
Really? Wow! But how about cell sizes? Are all cells microscopic? I would have thought the cells of smaller organisms were smaller than those of big animals, like, say, an elephant?
Cell sizes differ across organisms. However, the size of the cells has nothing to do with the size of the organism. The cells in a rhino's body may not be bigger than the cells in the body of a cat or a rat. In fact, the nerve cells in a rhino are very similar to those in a cat's body. In both cases, the nerve cells are long and branched and are involved in the transmission of messages. However, to answer your other question, there are some cells that can be seen with the naked eye.
Oh, what cells are these?
Well, one is a hen's egg. It is a single cell. You don't need a microscope to see it. You probably eat eggs at breakfast often.
That's true, but I never knew it was a single cell.
The largest cell is the egg of an ostrich, which measures 170 millimeters by 130 millimeters. At the other end of the range, the tiniest cell is a bacterial cell that measures 0.1 to 0.5 micrometers.
Hey, Robert is back. He will want to continue his work on the microscope. So bye for now. But I have a lot of questions for you about the structure and functions of cells. So I'll be seeing you again soon.
Sure. I will join Robert now. While Robert is settling down to work again, we have time for a quick quiz.
Congratulations! You have completed the lesson on Introduction to Cells. In this lesson, you have learned to define a cell, recall the role of microscopes in the discovery of the cell, illustrate how cells vary in number, and illustrate how cells vary in shape and size.